What's up, everyone? Another episode of Shoe Booty Sports coming at you Tuesday night. This is your host, Graham Powell, with the baby face over here, co host Bradley Brown with the not so baby face over there. Say what's up, Brad.
Hello.
I decided to break the rules and shave during the month of November, but it'll grow back. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Quick shout out to our sponsor and the reason we're here, Rhino Races. Ladies and gentlemen, Shoe Booty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. Sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience. Track it with your favorite fitness app. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the Submit Results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series, and you can find us, Shoe Booty Sports, on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us likes while you're there. It does help us out quite a bit. And follow us on Twitter at Shoe Booty Sports. Send us hate tweets, likes, whatever you want to do. X, formerly known as Twitter. Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We'll get it right one day. Okay. So, as I was waiting for you to come on, I heard all this talk about the South Carolina guard, like a couple of South Carolina players, the women's basketball team, that is. And I just happened to be on Facebook and I saw SEC Network posted, and it was Milaysia Fulwiley. Milaysia Fulwiley, I think is her name. I think I actually got that right. And she had an incredible highlight. I heard all about it. Like Magic Johnson was tweeting about it, how no one even at the men's level in the NBA could do that. And KD had like retweeted it and said something complimentary of her. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm sure it was good, but I mean, come on. And then I just saw it and I was like, wow, like it was pretty amazing. She like went behind the back. It was almost like some Jason Williams white chocolate move, and finishing at the basket, like with the right hand from the left side. It was wild. It was very impressive. Uh, South Carolina women looked impressive. LSU women did not. And we're going to touch up on that in a bit. But first, let's give a big congrats to the Texas Rangers for winning their first World Series in franchise history. This is Bruce Bochy's fourth as a manager, uh, just solidifying himself as one of the all-time greats. And, maybe the best in my lifetime, that's pretty incredible. Won 3 with the Giants in 3 trips. First season with the Rangers, gets them to the World Series for the second time, and then they actually win it this time. It was pretty cool because I did get to see the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, I follow them on social media. They, of course, reposted a lot of David Freese moments from that 2011 World Series where they did beat the Rangers, brought back some good memories of when the Cardinals actually could play baseball. So, yeah, that was fun to relive. But anyway, congrats to the Rangers. How much of the series did you catch, if any? I feel like your answer is always not much.
Yeah, it wasn't much, man. I was gonna catch game 5 and did not get to catch it. So
Let's see. I saw some of it. No, I saw some of the game. I guess it was game 5. It was this time last week. I was in Memphis. We were at Dyer's restaurant there on Beale Street. And as we were waiting on our food, I could see the score on the TV. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's tonight," and it was a good game. But we, of course, ate our burgers from the 100-plus-year-old grease, that they cook it in. Delicious burgers, by the way. Very greasy and very unhealthy. I needed all 3 runs I got in last week, but very delicious too. But yeah, Rangers win it. I saw the very end of game. Well, it only went 5 games, didn't it?
yeah,
So it was game 4 that I was talking about when I was in Memphis. But yeah, game 5, I caught the very end of that when it was a close game. I think it was like a 1-0 game, and then the Rangers just went off. They went off at the end of the game and just separated themselves. Yeah, amazing postseason run by them. Fun World Series, even though it was only 5 games, and a couple of those games were blowouts. It was a fun World Series, but we're done with baseball till April. So, uh, lots to talk about between now and then, though. Okay, and I'm finally excited to be able to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks, and that's the football team. Of course, we're going to be excited to talk about the basketball team, especially with how they played last night.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Arkansas football beats Florida. First time beating them in the swamp. Was that their third time ever beating them?
Yeah.
Were they like 2 and
Yeah.
10?
We've only played them 8 times, I think, or 9 times,
I think it
because we
was
were
two.
five and
I
five
think it
and
was two
two.
and 10. I think it was 2 and 10 was the record against them.
I thought. Oh, I thought it was like 2 and 6 or something, or two and
No,
five.
it's more than that. I remember them thumping us in the '90s during the Spurrier years, but we
What?
don't play them like Arkansas doesn't play them often. It's like that with the East teams. They don't play. They play Tennessee and Florida like every 5 years or something like that. And fortunately, the last time Arkansas did play Florida, I think was the game that you and I were at. It was like
Yep.
it was like maybe Bielema's
That
last
was a
like
rowdy
really good
game.
win. Yeah,
Yeah.
Arkansas won that one, and during the Bielema era, that was like the height of it. It was all downhill pretty much from there. But yeah, Arkansas has had a rough season going against a 5-2 Florida team
Yeah.
in the swamp, and you could tell. Like we're gonna cover a lot of the this week's episode on this as we should. We finally get to talk about Razorback football in a positive way.
Yeah.
But you could tell on the opening drive, it was a different team. It was momentum, and they even had a hype video that was well done coming into this week, talking about change and getting things on the right track. It was it was a really well done video, but I remember thinking, I'll believe it when I see it. I was thinking like nice
Exactly.
video,
Yeah.
but we'll see how long this lasts. And
Yeah.
that first drive, they drive down the field and score pretty much with ease too. But it really and then of course the defense came up with that takeaway that led to a touchdown, the strip, after the reception that led to a touchdown. And but it was kind of all it kind of went downhill from there for a while. Like it was like Florida
Yeah.
came back and tied it. It wasn't a tie game at halftime, 14-14.
Yeah. A lot of momentum swings in that one. So,
Well, it seemed like
which
it was
had me a
just
little worried.
yeah, it
Yeah.
seemed like
Once
it was
they
just
came back and tied it.
Arkansas. It was like Arkansas the first like 10 minutes of the game. And then it was like
Yeah.
all Florida the rest of the first half. And I just kept kind of waiting for the collapse.
Mhm.
And like Arkansas stayed in it. I mean, they kept fighting. Um, and like everything just looked better. I mean, just everything looked better. I mean, you had your typical Arkansas disappointments. The
Yeah.
penalties were still there, the holding penalties, the false starts, the illegal shift. I mean, undisciplined things that fall on that fall on the head coach, and that's stuff that needs to continue to be addressed and corrected. It was the usual stuff there
Yeah.
that that contributed to them losing a lot of these close games against an Ole Miss and um what LSU. I mean, it
Yeah.
was. I'm not saying that's the reason they lost, but it certainly helped. It certainly didn't help Arkansas's chances. That is, and you saw a lot of the same stuff here. And I thought that the outcome you'd be able to continue to point to that, like just more of the same here, because that momentum really only lasted. That momentum of we're a different team now really only lasted for like a drive, and on both sides of the ball, offense and
Yeah.
defense. But when things settled down, Arkansas stayed in it. Cam Little had a hell of a game. I mean, he essentially he gets the game ball as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I'm surprised he missed that first long kick, man. Honestly. Usually money.
I mean, it what wasn't it like
Oh, it was a
about
long
a
one.
50 yarder?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he made like another 50-yarder, and then the one at the end of the game was like a 45-yarder that was clutch that sent it into that did eventually send it into overtime. The Florida kicker missed, of course, which is what led the game to go into overtime. And you could tell but that was the call of the game for Pittman calling that timeout, because coming out of that timeout, you could just tell by the Florida kicker's face. I mean, his eyes were the size of, pool balls, and he was scared to death. You could tell. And I was like,
They shouldn't
he
have been
likes,
able to even attempt that field goal at the end of the game either. I mean, the refs are supposed to hold the ball and let us match the substitution on defense, and they did not. So that would have ran out the clock. So they should have never even been at that predicament.
that is true. But you know how it goes with Arkansas and Florida, especially when Arkansas plays Florida in the swamp. The 2009 game, I mean, that's all I could kind of think about as that was happening. I
Yeah.
mean, the SEC officiating crew that called that game got suspended because Arkansas literally got screwed. I mean, they got
Yeah.
screwed that game. And that was, of course, when Florida was number one, right? During the height of the Tebow mania there at Florida. Mallet and company were there at Arkansas. And yeah, Arkansas had them beat. And just the officiating got a huge assist for that. A lot of Halloween costumes that Halloween in Fayetteville were dressed as officials, like with like gator helmets and things like that. Yeah, that's one Arkansas fans aren't going to forget anytime soon. And I was thinking that, of course, that was 2009. I mean, I was thinking that about that during this game. But yeah, to see that, to see the kicker's eyes coming out of that timeout, I was like, okay, they might have a chance here. And of course, I'm naturally thinking the worst. I'm like, of course he's going to make this. But I did think like, he looks a little nervous there. I don't know how this is gonna. I don't know how this is gonna go. Hey, that's not Cam Little coming out for a field goal. That dude is lacking confidence right now, and you could see it all over his face. But what were your takeaways from the game? Positive, negative, in between, just overall assessment.
Negatives were definitely the penalties for us. We were doing the same old stuff for a while, it looked like. Positives, I would say the running game. I mean, we actually had a 100-yard rusher. Uh, I mean, Rocket
Wait,
looked like Rocket of
yeah,
old,
Rocket
right?
Sanders. That's right.
I
I mean,
mean,
Rocket
dang. I
Sanders
mean, it was.
back.
I was like, holy crap, man! We can actually run the ball. KJ, he had flashes of the old KJ. He was moving the ball. He ran over a couple of people. He overthrew that one guy for an easy touchdown, but then he made up for it later. But I don't know, man. I was super pumped. I thought for sure once they were going to get that kickoff there in the closing seconds, it's just going to be another screw job, for Arkansas. When he missed it, I kind of lost my voice for a little bit because I was yelling at the TV because I was so excited. But yeah, overtime we looked good, held them to a field goal, and then we sealed off in what, 2 plays, two or
I
three
think
plays. I mean,
so.
it was
Two,
it
two or
was
three.
great.
Yeah.
So,
It felt like a Razorback game, a Razorback football game to me from start to finish. Highs, lows, just lots of this, just up and down. I mean, that's just your typical Razorback game. My uncle kind of dubs them heart attack hogs.
they've earned that name. They have
Yeah,
earned it.
and yeah, and it was that. It was your typical Razorback football game, modern day at least, and where it's well, one, they were competitive, so that's nice. The fact I'm actually into the game is a
Yeah.
good thing, as that has not always been the case this season, especially as of late. But yeah, it was your typical Razorback game in that way. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. Rocket Sanders, correct. Rocket looked back. It just looked like a re-energized team. They want to play for this coaching staff and that offensive coordinator. Like Kenny Guyton, is that his last name? Is that how you say it?
I believe so. We'll just call him KG.
There you
So
go. That's a better name. He seems like a guy that would have a KG nickname, like amongst the players. I mean, the players love this dude. Like to see the video of Pittman coming off the field after the game and then following them into the tunnel. and KJ dapping it up with the new OC, and just seeing the joy on the players, coaches' faces. I mean, you can't help but if you're an Arkansas fan, you can't help but be happy for those guys. Every one of them, players, coaches, and just to see the team, it just felt like they were back. It just felt like they had life to them, like they had a passion to them. They had, what was it Pittman said, that like they've lost their spirit. Is that what he said? It looked like
Yeah.
they got that back. It looked like they got that back leading into this game and definitely after. So yeah, it was awesome to see. It was awesome to see all the way around as a Razorback fan / alum, both of us. And yeah, that you've got to, of course, there's things you got to fix, as Pittman and crew know that, although they keep making the same mistakes. So as far as penalties, holding, things like that. And that's the thing too. That's what bugs me so much. If you're going to, now there were a couple where there were long runs that came back, but if you're going to get a holding penalty, at least don't let our quarterback get hit, or let's at least get a long gain out of it. If you're going to hold the guy,
Yeah.
hold the guy, don't get a holding penalty and then there be a 5-yard loss, on the play. That's it all annoys me, but that really annoys me. Right.
Yeah.
So got to clean this up moving forward if you want any shot at a bowl game. I don't think Arkansas gets to a bowl game. I just don't see any way they beat Missouri, but
Yeah.
they could realistically win these next two games. I don't know that I favor them. How did Auburn do this weekend? I have not seen any of
They
Auburn.
they
I've just seen their record.
they handed Vandy pretty well. They looked really good the last two games, man. Their offense has come together in the last 2 weeks. They've put up the numbers. They've scored a lot more points than what they were at the beginning of the season. Apparently, we're a 3-point favorite this weekend. I'm not really sure about that. It just depends on what team shows up on each side. Auburn's looked ugly at times, and they've looked good at times. Arkansas, same can be said for them.
Where is the game?
It's here. It's at Arkansas.
Okay. That helps. You're gonna have a re-energized not only team but crowd
Yeah.
amongst the Razorback faithful, people attending the game. You're going to have people excited again, and because like I said, I don't think it happens, but there is hope that you can get to a bowl game.
It's still
And
possible.
it
So
is possible. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
and
I
I
don't think
and
it
I can
does.
win the lottery. So
Yeah, there you go.
it's possible.
But I mean, here I'm trying to put a positive spin on things. I mean, how many times has Arkansas lost to Missouri, in that battle line rivalry trophy game when Arkansas should have thumped them and Missouri found a way to
Oh,
beat them? So maybe
like half the time. Yeah, who knows? Maybe
yeah,
we can
maybe
flip the
that will
script
come
on them.
around. Maybe that will come around. Even though Missouri has Arkansas's number.
Man, how big is that BYU loss right now? Which
It's
they have
it's
looked
big.
terrible since then, man.
They have. They've
BYU,
looked bad.
they got murdered the last 2 weeks.
They have. But that just shows how
Yeah.
bad but Arkansas scored points in that game, but the defense has been bad at times. I
Mhm.
mean, and toward the end of the Florida game, like you can call blaming the
Yeah.
officiating, but the offense shouldn't have been in that position either. We're, for whatever reason, we're in a prevent defense
And they
when
get
they
a
can
three
just
play 80-yard drive.
yeah,
So
when they can just throw it underneath for 20 yards for three straight plays or whatever it was.
yeah.
It's bad defensive play calling there. They just need a field goal. You don't need to keep them out of the end zone. They just need a field goal to win the game. So I don't understand why you're in a prevent there. It was bad play calling, just bad defensive play, which we've seen at times with Arkansas. But the offense, yeah, clearly hasn't been the same this year. Or when Dan Enos was there, very different offense this time around. And I think the message from KG to KJ was you got to be KJ, meaning you got to play like KJ Jefferson. You can't play like this slow developing RPO quarterback that just, throws from the pocket. You got to play like KJ Jefferson. You got to run. You got to make plays with your legs. You got to truck a defender or two. And because that's what makes KJ KJ. That's
Oh
what
yeah.
creates separation between the receivers and the defenders is KJ's ability and or threat to run. And so that eases up the defense, in the coverage. And that's why KJ's touchdown to interception ratio has been phenomenal these last two seasons. Not as much this season, but yeah, you got to point the finger at Dan Enos for a lot of this. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of it ultimately falls on KJ, for like that interception he had Saturday was a terrible decision. Like, why did you make that throw? That's just unlike him. Yeah, he threw it in double coverage, and it was a bad throw on top of that.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah, it was just a bad decision. But that's uncharacteristic of him. As a senior, you should know better. Like, you knew better the first two seasons. Like, why have you regressed in that way? But he played fantastic pretty much the rest of the way. He missed some throws, but I mean, we've discussed this. I mean, we do it all the time. KJ is going to do that, but he's going to make some plays too, and he's going to make some throws like he did at the end of the game to win it. But it was just good to see them get a win. Okay, let's do score prediction, game prediction for these guys. Arkansas Auburn this Saturday in Fayetteville. What time's the game? Is it like an 11
I
a.m.
believe it's
game?
no, actually it is not. We're actually playing in the early afternoon, I think at 3 or 3:30. So
It'll probably be a 2:30 game.
yeah.
Okay. All right. You go first.
All right. I feel like it's gonna be probably a lower scoring game. I'll do 21-17 Arkansas. I have them covering the spread. We'll go that way.
Why do you say that? Why do you say lower scoring game? Like I said, I've not seen Auburn. I don't know how good or bad they are defensively.
Defensively, I think they're all right. It just depends on they've had some trouble at QB. I think they've used a total of 3 QBs this season. So it really depends on how well they can move the ball on Saturday, especially
Yeah.
if our defense shows up. So, which I'm sure they will.
You never know. I don't. They might early, but I feel like Hugh Freeze will be able to make adjustments at halftime and get points on the board against our defense. He could do it at Liberty, so I imagine he could do that with Auburn. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pick Arkansas to win it. Win it. I think that they are. I mean, I think it's a different team. I think it's closer to the team that we had last year as opposed to what we've seen. The first 7 or 8 weeks of the season. I guess it's been. Which is just it's weird to say it's gone by that quick. But yeah, I think it's a different team. I think now, uh, new life amongst the not just the players and coaches. And I'll go Arkansas 31-28. I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think it's
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not. Yeah, nobody's going to run away with it. That's
It's
for sure.
it's a toss up game. I think Vegas probably has it right. I mean, but to
Yeah,
me, it's essentially a pick 'em.
this is the time of year where Vegas has everything right. So
I
They're scary close on everything,
they are. I
especially
mean,
NFL.
that's true. But yeah, I'll say 31-28 Hogs. And yeah, and they should take care of business the week after that. And then I don't know, maybe you're maybe motivated against a Missouri team. Missouri's better.
Yeah,
They're a better team and they're well coached.
yeah, they
So
look good the first half against Georgia. So
yeah, they did. It was competitive for a while, and so I don't pick Arkansas to win that. But considering the way things have gone, if you go 5-7 and you're at least competitive against Missouri, it at least gives you a better taste in your mouth, to go into the off season. Still a bum season, but considering how
yeah,
it's been, it's a. and it's a better taste in your mouth, I guess. But I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this one, the Florida one, because
Mhm.
we haven't been able to talk positively about Razorback football
And
all season.
we quite possibly played spoiler for Florida to make it to a bowl game because their next 3 games are no gimmies. They play LSU this weekend, following up with Mizzou, and then they end it with Florida State. So
Yeah, they could have
yeah,
the same record as Arkansas by the end of the season.
exactly. Yeah, that's a tough stretch right there.
That is a very tough stretch. They're not going to be picked to win any of them, and
Nope.
that's kind of if you're
And
Billy
they are
Napier, if you're the head coach at Florida there amongst Florida fans anyway, that's Saturday's loss is probably an unforgivable loss. Yeah, I mean
yeah, their only home game in that stretch is Florida State. So they play at LSU and at Missouri.
yeah,
So
and you lost to Arkansas. I
yeah,
Saban said that team isn't who you think they are, but I mean, yeah, they lost a lot of close games, but as Bill Parcells put it, you are what your record says you are, and
yep.
to lose to a 2-6 team, that's not going to sit well with Florida fans. So that could be the start of a collapse there for his era. We'll see.
Another collapse in Florida. So
Yeah. I'm not upset about it, but yeah,
no,
it's yeah, we'll see what happens because it's like you said, it's probably not going to end well. Now they may surprise somebody because they beat Tennessee. They
yeah.
surprise people and beat Tennessee. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I mean, they could change it, but yeah, they're not going to be favored in any of those games. But as a Razorback fan, I'm going to enjoy this one. All right, so moving on, other games in college football this week. Bama beat LSU. Jalen Milroe had a heck of a
Man,
game running.
I know you watched that game, but man,
I did.
that game was a fun one to watch there until Daniels got hurt. But
Yeah, I switched it over to the UW USC game
yeah,
after Daniels got hurt because I was like, yeah, I mean it's definitely over now. I think our Alabama would have beaten them anyway,
yeah.
but it was definitely over after that.
I think the funniest thing I seen this weekend was the news that USC fired their defensive coordinator, and the top comment was, "Wait, they had one."
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So
No, that's yeah, nice. But yeah, you can't complain about the offense. I mean, Caleb Williams uh, played well, right? I mean, played
yeah,
well. I mean, the offense scored 42 points. You can't put it on the offense, and they've been doing that even in the games they lost. Not necessarily against the first loss they took, where he threw 3 picks. I can't even remember who it was against, but yeah, they've dropped out of the top 25 now. USC,
yeah,
that is first
as
time
they
under
should. Yeah.
first time under Lincoln Riley. That's not a good team. I mean,
Mhm.
you got the best player in the country, but it's not a good team. And it was yeah, it was and seeing Caleb Williams in the stands crying like after. I mean, it was weird. It was just it was a weird thing to see.
Yeah.
I guess it means something to him, but I
Well,
mean, come on, man. You're
the same guy who was making fun of the TCU quarterback last season for crying after a game.
yeah, kind of karma hitting you there, right?
Yeah, smack in the face. So,
Yeah. And
what'd you think of what'd you think of Bo Nix's 6 touchdowns in the first half?
I saw that he balled out. I mean, but Bo Nix is like a ninth year senior
Yeah,
or whatever it is. But yeah, it felt like it was a decade ago when they were just saying true freshman Bo Nix every time he took a snap when he was with Auburn. That feels like a decade ago now.
yeah.
It wasn't, but yeah, it's I don't know as far as the Heisman goes, it's kind of up there, up in the air. He's in the mix. Like I
Hmm.
said, Washington beating USC, but Michael Penix Jr. hasn't shown out or anything.
No.
Yeah, Bo Nix is in that discussion. I think Jaden Daniels took himself out of the Heisman talk after Saturday. Not only losing Alabama, that's LSU's third loss, but he didn't play particularly well. He didn't play poorly, but also like getting knocked out of the game too. That just feels like that also knocked his chances of going to New York out of the equation as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, but Bo Nix he's in it. I want to talk. All right, we don't have a lot of time left, but I really want to talk about these two main things. Um, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. The Texans coming back and beating the Bucks, and that final drive that CJ Stroud had was, I mean, it was greatness. Did you see it?
I did not know.
Well, I saw it in real time, and it was special. I mean, it was special. I was like, I mean, when Baker took him down the field and scored, I was like, that's it. And then Stroud made just like three just amazing throws. The last of which led to a touchdown to Tank Dell, I believe, and that ended up winning. It was like 6 seconds left. Even after the game, like you could see like Baker and Stroud like dapping it up, and Baker just was like shaking his head and just giving him probably like, yeah, that was amazing, dude. Like there's nothing I could do about that. But CJ Stroud is special, and I said it went in his last year at Ohio State, and even leading up to the draft. I had said I haven't seen a guy this special since Trevor Lawrence, and that wasn't that long ago. But I mean, that's saying something still. I mean, he had franchise quarterback just written all over him.
Yeah.
His I'm going to use this term that Peyton Manning hates, arm talent. You could see it there. The decision making, just like smart with the football, values possessions. I mean, he seemed like he always had like 40 touchdowns and like 3 or 4 interceptions, at Ohio State. And did the Panthers not see him against Georgia, against essentially an NFL defense in a meaningful football game? At the college football playoff.
No, they did not. I'm guessing.
I mean, he had them beat. He had them beat. And even hearing him after the game, just giving glory to God and just his teammates and like giving props to his teammates and all that. There is nothing about CJ Stroud that I don't like. There's nothing about him I don't like. Special player from Ohio State to now. I don't see how you can just looking at the two, and you said it like before the draft, before these guys got drafted. I mean, you're just looking at them. Who would you want as your franchise quarterback? You have the number one pick. You want a guy that looks the part, looks like a franchise quarterback, or a guy that has my height and weight from high school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's and Frank Reich. I mean, he's got to be. Imagine what he's thinking. Like it's been reported he wanted Stroud. But ownership nudged. I mean, we're essentially like, no, we're taking Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And
He might lose his job for it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's gonna lose it. He's gonna lose his job for a decision that the owner made. Like Frank Reich wanted to go. He wanted to draft CJ Stroud. It's been reported, and no ownership was like, no, we want Bryce Young, and Frank Reich might lose his job for it. It's wild, man. It's crazy. But yeah, just CJ Stroud, man. You should go back and like YouTube that last drive because I mean it was special, and the guy's only a rookie. 14 touchdowns to just 1 interception. It's a crazy start. Now we saw guys like like Mac Jones year 1 was excelling above all other rookies, including Trevor Lawrence. But he was also on a better team and had a better coach. Of course, this is when Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer, not Doug Peterson. But what do teams do? They do defense coordinators. They look at film. They kind of figure you out. At least the guys that aren't just special. And we've seen Mac Jones not only come back down to earth, but be a below average quarterback. And Trevor Lawrence has excelled to top tier level at this point. I don't think Stroud is going to be like even though Stroud is, I mean, he's doing better than Mac Jones did, when he was like that or during that year. But Stroud is just too talented. Even if defense coordinators figure him out, through this rookie season, he's only going to get better because he keeps getting better. He's going to figure defenses out too as this goes. But yeah, Stroud's just a special player. And I just look forward to seeing him play these next 10 years. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we're going to end on this. Talking about the LSU women. You come in number one team in the country, and you should be. You're not only the defending national champion, but you get the top 2 transfers to come over to join your team in the transfer portal. And Haley Van Lith and Nisa Morrow, I believe is her last name. But you get the top 2 transfers coming in, and you not only lose your opener to number 20 Colorado, but you lose by 14 points. I mean, that's significant. This has like early Miami Heat like games written all over it. You essentially put a super team together, and you realize there's only one ball and a bunch of alphas out there like trying to figure out how to play together. Like this is, I would say that's to be expected to an extent, but there's also more parity, a lot more parity at the NBA level as opposed to, the women's college game. Even though that is getting better, that parity is getting better. Like UConn has come back down to earth. I mean, LSU never won a national championship, but I mean, Kim Mulkey has, put together a squad via the transfer portal last year, bringing in Angel Reese and company. But, and a lot of people have dogged like on, and this is going to happen. Like, people are going after Angel Reese, more cares more about NIL and image than actually playing basketball. And you're going to get that, like whether or not that's true, you're going to get that reaction from the haters when you don't win, like when you don't show up and perform. Because if you're going to do the John Cena thing to Caitlin Clark, and you're going to talk all this trash, after the game and on social media and all that, you're going to get people coming at you when you don't get the job done. Even though she's done nothing but really say good things since then, like coming into this season, people aren't going to forget that anytime soon. But it's. I'm sure LSU will figure it out. But man, that's not a good sign if you're starting this early and doing that. But maybe it'll be the wake up call they need. But in other games, speaking of the Iowa women, I mean, they rolled against Fairleigh Dickinson. Can't tell you where that is, but they, of course, won that one like you'd think they would, 102-46. Caitlin Clark had Caitlin Clark numbers, 28 points, 7 boards, 10 assists, very Caitlin Clark numbers.
Yeah.
But number 6, South Carolina, still surprised they're number 6, by the way. The women, that is. But they thumped Notre Dame. I think they played in Paris.
Yeah, it was overseas. But
I think
30.
They played in
what
Paris.
They win by 30 points?
29 beat Notre Dame 171, and Notre Dame is no slouch squad. I mean, that's a national champion from, like 5 years ago or whatever it was. That's a solid program. They were the number 10 team in the country. But yeah, that Milaysia Fulwiley, that was special. I'm gonna look up more of her highlights. It's pretty cool to be like into the women's basketball game coming into this season. And you got to credit the athletes for that, for just the product we're seeing. That's pretty cool to be excited about it this early, not just for the Final Four. But we'll talk more about that, football, and more next week. But we're out of time till then. This is Grandpal.
Brother Brown.
We'll see y'all next time. Deuces, y'all.
Peace.
Go Hogs, by the way.